Happy Wednesday, everyone, and happy belated birthday to Phil. This is going to be a good little work set. It's going to be challenging. We have a couple of different types of options for you guys to play with for this one, but I hope you enjoy it. So what we got for you guys for your warm-up today? We have a single leg good morning with rotation for 3 aside. Just again, wake up the hamstrings, get that body moving with a good rotation. Into a single leg RDL for 3 to 5 aside. Good morning, narrow to wide stance. We're going to hit a couple reps of each in each stance. From there, single leg bridge for 5 aside, and then 10 bridges for 2 to 3 rounds in total with that top piece. It's really going to give ourselves a chance to heat up our core a little bit, get our hamstrings ready to go, and just get things staying high. After that, we have another little piece right here, which is Inchworm Shoulder Touch for 3 to 5. Or, if you'd like to just focus yourself on that plank shoulder touch, we can talk about that as well. And then we move into an arch up for 20 seconds, dynamic. Humeral glide to knee push up for 3 to 5. Arch up for 20 seconds, dynamic as well. And then we have 2 to 3 rounds of that little piece. Again, working on that midsection, getting things kind of set up, ready to go. And then moving finally into a little piece that's a little bit more dynamic, getting those legs going again with that lateral ski jump for 20 seconds, single leg RDL jump for 20 seconds per side, and then a back lunge for 6 to 10 reps. After that as well, if you'd like to practice any of the fun little movements we got going on there for you guys, you can. But they're pretty straightforward, except for the first one. So what we have for you guys today, we have 50 total count back lunge to high knee jump or back lunge to high knee. And we'll walk you through that process of what's going on there. But once you're done your 50, you're then going to move into this piece right here. We're going to take down 50 sit-ups, 25 push-ups, 40 sit-ups, 20 push-ups, 30 sit-ups, 15 push-ups, 20 sit-ups, 10 push-ups, and then 10 sit-ups and 5 push-ups. Once you're done that little couplet, you're going to finish it off again with that back lunge to high knee hop for 50 alternating reps, or whatever you did in the beginning with that high knee. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the hop, but if you like that high knee, you can. So it's going to be a fun little couplet. We have a little break between the push-ups and the sit-ups from Monday. That core is going to get kind of the triple whammy today with those sit-ups again. So we're going to show you a couple different options for the sit-ups you can play with. You can see where it goes, and we'll have some fun today with this nice little couplet sandwich. So without further ado, let's get you warmed up, ready for action. All right, guys, let's get those feet under those hips. We'll take the arms big and tall. And get a nice little side bend, big reach to one side. Come back through. Then we'll reach to the other side. Oh, stretch out that body a little bit. We'll scratch our back and reach through the elbow. Back up, big stretch. Scratch your back, reach through the elbow. Oh, yeah. Come back up, big stretch. Hands out to the T. Turn them in, nice and slow. Turn them out. Turn them in and out. And in and out. Big stretch up again. We're going to scratch our back and just reach. Stretching out that side body from yesterday. Scratch your back, reach again. Yeah, good, big stretch up. Bring those hands to the hips, take those hips around a few times, just opening up the hips, making sure things work okay. We'll go the other way. Good, we'll come back to center, bring our feet together, big stretch up. We're going to forward fold, touching those toes, walking up those shins. We'll come down, framing a foot, we'll step back into our lizard, and then we're going to take that inside bend up, and we're going to rotate forearm to the floor. Take it all the way down, and then come back up, and rotate, opening up that midsection, that core, take it up, and rotate, and one more time up. We'll plant the hand, take the outside hand up, big stretch, plant it down, we'll step back into our down dog, reaching those hips, then we'll come back into our plank, stepping the other foot up, nice and square in those hips. Inside hand reaches way high. Rotate to the floor. Come back up. And rotate. And back up. And rotate. And back up. Plant that hand. Take the outside hand all the way up. All the way back down to the floor. We'll step back into our down dog. We're just going to set the shoulders. Just walk your heels out just a bit. Nice and slow. Nice and steady. No rush. There we go. We'll come back into Tiptoe those feet all the way up. I'm gonna roll ourselves up. Big, tall stretch. Big reach. Oh, big reach. Oh, come back down with those hands. Let's get you guys ready for action. All right, if you'd like to do some gentle warm-up still, pause the video, take that down. Maybe some cat-cow, some more rotation work, dynamic triangle, anything to get that midsection, those legs warmed up a little bit. But I'm gonna get you going on that first phase, which is gonna actually get some rotation and some hamstrings taken care of. So what we're gonna start off with right now is our single leg good morning with rotation. So I'm gonna get myself set up in my hip width stance. I'm gonna take my left heel and just take it just in front of the big toe. But you'll notice my feet are still apart from each other, so there's still a good distance away between them. I'm gonna stand nice and tall. And I'm gonna initiate this movement by squeezing my glutes. So just give them a good squeeze to say hello. Then I'm gonna pull the hips back, keeping this balancing leg soft, this leg straight, and then rotate towards that lead leg. Don't worry if you can't touch it or not. We're just gonna take it to where we can. And I want you to think about, again, setting that movement up, squeezing the glute, pulling back into that nice good morning, and then rotating, and then standing tall. I'm going to show you from the side again, same leg, we'll be doing the balancing. So my heels in front, I'm nice and set, squeezing my glutes, pulling the hips back, rotating gently through that midsection, and then standing tall. And I'm just taking those nice and slow. We're looking at that for 3 per side, so take all 3 on one, all 3 on the other. Take your time with that, it's a really good warm-up. Remembering we want to feel that engagement through the glute and that upper hamstring. If we're feeling it in our calf, we want to really make sure we're squeezing and engaging those glutes before we start the movement. From there, what we have is a single leg RDL. So we're going to use a little bit more of that hinging motion, but I'm going to turn to the side for this one. So again, we get our toe planted like a nice little kickstand. I'm going to squeeze my glutes to get myself squared to the front. I'm going to hold the imaginary dumbbell, or if you have a little bit of loading, you could use this here instead. From here, I'm going to pull the hip back, letting that balancing leg be soft, and hit that nice hinge just so my hands come to my knee, and stand tall with that good glute squeeze. So again, I pull back, nice flat back position to the knee, and stand tall. My center mass is staying over top of my laces, so I'm not pulling too far back and sitting back in those toes. I'm staying right centered over top of that foot. Now the other option we can play with, as long as we can still maintain that hamstring engagement, is letting that balancing leg come off the floor. So I squeeze, set up the same way. I pull the hip back, just letting that leg drift above the floor, and then stand tall. So don't worry about how high that leg comes up. It just has to hover along just off the floor to engage that balance side of that movement. So take your time, move slow. You got 3 to 5 reps of that. From there, we're going to do some narrow to wide stance good morning. So I'm going to start with my feet nice and close together. All right? I'm going to stand nice and tall, and I'm going to squeeze my glutes, and I'm going to pull my hips back as I get that nice forward fold to about 45 or 90 degrees. And then I'll stand tall. And I'll show you again from the side. So you can see my feet are together. I pull back. I come to that position where I can feel my hamstrings, my knees are soft, and then I stand tall. I'm not trying to do a forward fold where I bring my chest right against my thighs. I'm just doing that nice good morning. From there, I'm going to step my feet out to my squat stance or sumo stance, depending on where you want to go with this. Squeeze my glutes again. I pull the hips back. My knees are soft. I might be able to get a little deeper in this one in comparison to the narrow stance. But again, I'm not trying to come all the way down to the floor or my thighs. I'm trying to feel those hamstrings say hello. At peak tension, I come back nice and tall. After that, I move into that wide stance good morning position, so super wide, and I stand tall. I squeeze and pull back, keeping that chest up, standing tall, and then again, from here, from the profile, you'll see that my hips going back is what brings my chest forward, keeping that back nice and straight the entire time. And I open up my hips at the top and continue on from there. So take your time with those. We're going to hit about 2 to 3 each position. Like I said, in the middle one, that sumo or squat stance is just somewhere in the middle, so you can even play with some varying degrees out to that wide stance. After that, we're gonna lay down. We're gonna continue focusing on those hips and those glutes. So I'm gonna get myself ready to do a single leg bridge. So I'm gonna get myself set, pick my favorite leg up, my hands are gonna press into the floor, I'm gonna keep my ribs in, and I'm gonna squeeze my glute, lift into that nice little bridge, opening my hips, and lower down. Squeeze, lift, and lower down. With the other side, same idea, I set, squeeze, lift, and down. I'm not trying to come so high up that I hyperextend at the hip. I'm just trying to extend and open my hips fully. From here, I'm going to get my hands down, both feet flat. I'm going to do the same thing, except my feet will stay down. I'll squeeze my glutes, lift to that hip extension position, and lower down. Squeeze, lift, and lower down. So I'm going to work that full bridge for 10 reps, or 20. You can load that if you have something at home. You can throw in your hips if you'd like, or not. We're just trying to, again, fire up the glutes, say hello, and wake them up today. So as a quick recap, we have a single leg good morning with rotation for 3 a side, single leg RDL for 3 to 5 a side, loaded or unloaded, depending what you have access to at home. Good morning, starting with a narrow to wide stance, so 3 different positions. I showed you guys the narrow, the sumo, and the wide. You can go narrow, squat stance, wide, whatever you want to do. 2 to 3 reps each, and then laying down for the single leg bridge for 5 a side, bridge for 10, loaded or unloaded for 2 to 3 rounds. So pause the video, take that down. It's going to get that midsection, get those hips, those glutes fired up really well. Move with intention and take your time there, you guys, because it's a nice little warm-up for the first thing to start our day. Our next phase is going to kind of kick up the core a little bit in the shoulders. So we're going to start with an Inchworm Shoulder Touch. Very straightforward. We're going to bring our feet together. I'm going to take my arms up overhead if I'd like to add in a little extra upper body work. I'm going to hinge, and then I'm going to walk my hands out into that plank. And as I find that plank, I'm going to pull those ribs and hips in, press my shoulders to the sky. I'm going to shift my weight, touching my shoulder, shift, touch my shoulder, come back to center, and walk those hands in. So you'll notice I was moving relatively slow in that shoulder touch. The longer I stay in that 3-point balance, the harder and more stable I need to become through my midsection. So depending on how comfortable you are in that single arm balance position, you can touch, or you can touch and hold for a second or two. Touch and hold for a second or two, and continue on from there. Now, if the inchworm is a little bit hard on the body a little bit to get up and down and into those positions, it's not a bad thing to experiment with, but maybe alternate your rounds with a plank shoulder touch. So we just get set up in our plank, toes or knees, and we work through our shift, touch, shift our weight, touch, and we just work on maintaining that good square body position as we move through our movement. All right, so you can mix and match those if you'd like. Experiment with the inchworm, experiment with the plank, whatever suits your needs the most. Now, the arch up, we're going to lay on the floor. We're going to stay here for the next 3 exercises. So for the arch up, I get my hands out nice and long. My eyes are looking down to the floor. I press everything down to get a little engagement. And then I'm going to inhale, reaching my toes and fingers as far away from each other as they can, and then lower down. So we're sticking with that dynamic movement, and I'm trying to keep my legs as straight as I can, my arms as straight as I can, as I move through this motion. If both hands and feet is a little bit too much, I can do the alternating arch up, which is right hand, left foot, left hand, right foot, and just work back and forth as we move through that flow. Moving with our breath and not rushing so we don't like flop around on the floor. We want to make this controlled through the beginning to the end of the motion. From here, our next exercise, we're going to come in to our humeral glide knee push-up again. So my hand is going to be underneath my shoulder, my elbow. I'm nice and set here in this position. And I'm going to pull my shoulders forward to where I don't want them in a push-up. I'm going to pull them back to where I do want them. And that's not going to really change my elbow position. My elbow position stays over my hands. I'm going to squeeze my glutes, pull my ribs and hips in so I get that hollow, and then I'm going to push to my knees. Maintaining this nice tight position. I'll then lower again down to the floor, keeping that nice set shoulder, that good tight hollow, and then I'll relax. So as a repeat, we get this set up again. Shoulders come forward, shoulders come back, but my elbows stay stacked over my wrist. Ribs and hips come tight. Press to my knees, lowering forward and down, maintaining that position, and then relax. Now remember, if we can't quite get the push just yet, with that full kind of hollow position being maintained, what we can work on is just an isometric hold. So we set the position, nice and set through the shoulders, elbows over the hands, squeeze your glutes and ribs, and then we maintain this position as we push. Your chest may come off the floor a little bit, but if you feel any separation between the chest and the core, then we want to stop. We want to make sure we're only pressing and lifting as high as we can maintain that nice tight hollow position. So take your time with that, really listen in to your body and see where you're at. The isometric hold is no joke. It's a hard position to maintain, and we're going to hold each of those isometric holds for 3 to 5 seconds. After that, we come back to our dynamic arch up again for 20 seconds of just max reps in terms of moving with your breath, and then we'll repeat that, just getting our body gently ready for the shoulders and that midsection. So as a quick little recap, we have our Inchworm Shoulder Touch for 3 to 5 reps, arch up for 20 seconds dynamic, Humeral glide to knee push-up or isometric hold for 3 to 5 reps, and then 20 seconds of the arch up, and then repeat 2 to 3 rounds. From there, pause the video, take those down, get yourself ready, work that skill for that push-up coming your way, because we do have a fair amount of push-ups coming up, but work that skill, have some fun, come join me for the next phase where we're going to work on a little bit of jumping action. So we're going to kickstart our day off with some lateral ski jumps, because again, that lateral motion is always nice to work on. Now, I'm going to get myself set up, and I'm going to load my one leg, and I'm going to use my arms and my body to get that momentum necessary. So I'm going to swing my arms over, stop my position here for some balance, and then I'm going to swing and hold, swing and hold. So it's quick and pause. So I'm holding that little bit of momentum there to change directions. Now, if you're not a fan of jumping, or if you're like, it hurts my body jumping or leaving the ground, you can do this with a nice step, and a step, and a step. You can still train that idea of using that momentum to get your body back and forth. You can also use that foot to drag across, and we don't actually leave the ground. We just drag that foot across the floor. If you're doing that at home, though, make sure you have like a slider so you don't burn your toe or your floor kind of thing with your shoe. So just make sure you're good to go with that, and you're not making little scuff marks on your floor, or I should say burning your toe. So we don't want to do that. No floor burn on the toe. But we'll take that down for 20 seconds, working that steady flow back and forth. The next movement comes into effect, and it's kind of practicing the movement we have in our workout in 2 different pieces. So we have our single leg RDL jump and our back lunge. So our single leg RDL jump is loaded the same way for all 3 variations. What I'm going to do is I'm going to load my leg for balance. The leg that's going to go back, and that is my momentum leg, is going to just kind of send it back and reach with that same arm. So the arm, or the leg that goes back is the arm that goes forward. Variation 1, I come up into the standing position. And I just work on the shape and the form, the balance of that movement, the good control. Variation number 2, what we work on is we load it the same way, and we use that back leg for some momentum, and it lifts my body just a little bit up on the toes, off the heels, so I can get a little vertical lift. The last variation is we follow through with the ankle now. So we load the same body position, and then from here, we pop. With that momentum and the pop of the foot, we get a little bit of lift in that vertical nature, and that's our goal, is to go straight up, not forward, not back. Our goal is to go straight up with a little bit of pop. And you're going to just spend 20 seconds per side doing that and practicing it. We're not overly concerned about the reps. We're just worried about getting that motion and that control, and if you're using the third one, using that momentum to finish to get that nice little vertical pop. Our last exercise in this warm-up is our back lunge, and that is going to be paired together with that single leg RDL jump, in a sense, in our workout. So our back lunge, we're going to stand nice and tall. My feet are about squat stance. I'm going to step back, squeezing my glutes, lower down, and come to a standing position. Then alternate feet, lower down, and stand tall. Good. Step and lower. Keeping and working on keeping that knee stacked over top of the heel, the back knee stacked under the hip, under the shoulder, and we're trying to stay as vertical as we can. The nice thing about this movement, think about squeezing your glutes before you start, and that can really help stabilize the knee before we get that body moving too much. If you're more comfortable right now practicing the standing lunge drill, be my guest. Use that as a skill developing exercise so we get ourselves into that 50-50 stance, nice and set, soft knees, and then I'm just going to squeeze my glute, lower straight down into that good position I'm looking for, and push and stand straight up. You don't have to go very far down. You don't have to worry about trying to take it all the way to the floor. Just take it to where you can to build that skill. All right? So lots of different things we can play with there. It's going to be a good time, and we'll see where it takes us. So this last little triplet here is just a chance to work on some jumps. If you want to add in some of the movements that you're going to use in the workout, please add those in between the jumps so it gives yourself a little bit of a break between the jumps, and you can build the skill, getting it ready for the workout, if you'd like. Now, pause the video, take that down. We're going to go through the movements in the workout and get you guys squared away and have some fun with this one. Pause, take her down, come join me now. Now, the back lunge to high knee jump. Now this is a weird one, I'm not going to lie, this is a weird one. It's kind of joining the back lunge with the single leg RDL jump. So what we're going to do is you're going to step back into your lunge, and then you're going to come up, yep, and then you're going to alternate. Step back, yep, then you get a little hop. So you're working on bringing that back leg up into that swinging leg. So if that was the RDL jump, the back leg is the one that's being loaded, and then it's lifting the body up, okay? So it's not gonna have a lot of flow in between these reps, but over time, you may find that you get yourself into a good rhythm. So it's just a quick little recap for a couple. I'm just gonna do a couple in a row. I back lunge, I come up, I step, back lunge, come up, and then I continue working through that. If it's easier for you to do half and half on the reps and not alternate, be my guest, take that down, work through 25 on one side, 25 on the other. But if you'd like to alternate, you can alternate as well. But have some fun with that one, you guys. It's gonna be a weird kind of motion, and I'm also gonna have some different variations for you guys as well that can help build that same movement with some different variations. So play with that, have some fun. We'll get you moving really well and see where it takes us. After that 50 reps, you're gonna move into 50 sit-ups. And the sit-up today, I like to use the Pike sit-up because it's a really nice opportunity to work on that hamstring. I'm gonna show you a couple different variations. So Pike sit-up, same one we did on Monday. We're gonna lay back, touch the hands above our head, come up and try and touch as deep into your toes as you can, or as far down the thighs as you can. So we lay down, touch, sit tall. You can also anchor your feet there or pinch something with your feet if you need a little assistance, all right, to give yourself a little bit of anchor to get up, and that's totally fine as well. Another cool variation is the straddle sit-up. So it's the same concept, except we go into a straddle position. And the straddle doesn't have to be the end range of your straddle. We want to make sure that we can tolerate that movement as we go. And it's the exact same as your Pike sit-up. So we come back, we touch, and then we reach to the middle. We come back, touch, reach to the middle. So we can play around with that and experiment with that straddle variation. It is going to feel slightly different on the hamstring and the adductors and the inner thigh, but it's going to give you that same good burn plus a little bit of good mobility. The key is we want to try and keep those legs straight as best we can as we lower down and as we come through into that reach. Another cool variation you guys can play with and experiment with is the butterfly sit-up, and you're going to use that nice and engaged. You're going to pull your feet together, you're going to lay down, and sit up nice and tall. So the cool thing about the butterfly sit-up is it's going to take that hip flexor out of the equation, and it's going to be very challenging in terms of just allowing your core to do some work. So from the front, what that looks like, I go into my little butterfly stretch, feet together, I lay, touch, touch my feet. So that's another option you can kind of experiment with and play with. We do those a lot with ab mats in classes as well. So if you have something you can tuck underneath your low back to fill that void, you could use that, or you could use no mat at all. So 3 cool little different variations of sit-up. The other variation you can experiment with too is working on that hollow up. So working through that nice little hollow, squeezing your ribs and hips together, and that single leg hollow up to work on that nice hollow shape. So if you'd like to work on the hollow position, like we worked on yesterday for those holds, you can do that if you'd like as well, and you don't really want to sit up and do the hinging portion. That hollow up is a great option to help build that midsection in a strong manner. So play with that, have some fun, pick your sit-up for yourself for today, stick with it, and if you need to, rest it out, because there's some big numbers there. So break it down, have some fun. Our next exercise in the work set is our push-up. So our push-up, we talked about using that countertop, chair, ottoman, whatever variation you need to use to lift that body on that angle, you can play with. All right, I've also seen some people rocking those dumbbell floor press if you have access to a little bit of loading at home. That's also a really cool option for the push-up if you have access to some dumbbells at home. Now, the push-up from the floor though, we have 3 variations. We can get that body set, nice and tight, nice and set through my plank. I pull my ribs and hips in, press my shoulders to the sky, and I'm gonna lower forward and down, just like my humeral glide, and then coming back up to that finished product. So the big thing here is keeping those elbows at that nice 45 degree, not necessarily pinned, not way up in the side at a T, but just right nestled in the middle. And that's gonna give you a really good position to help stabilize the shoulder for all of these different variations. The other side of it, the push-up is focused on as an upper body exercise, but it is a full body exercise. We need to squeeze our glutes, we need to squeeze our ribs, we need to get all that stuff nice and tight for the entire push-up. So try not to turn that off throughout your sets, and if you feel those things turning off, just take a break, shake it out, continue on, because there are some big numbers here for those push-ups. Now, from there, if you don't quite have the full push from the floor, what we can play around with is pulling those ribs and hips in. Using that lower, I maintain my tension, drop my knees, press, and then press. Tension, I lower, press, and press. So I get the press through the knee, but I get the strength building of that lower through the plank. So we don't relax and turn ourselves off at the bottom when I drop my knees. We stay engaged, we stay tight, and we focus on maintaining that good hollow that we're gonna need for the full toe push-up. Our last variation from the floor is that knee push-up, but I would like you all to start in your plank. So we set the plank and establish the strong position, drop just the knees down, and then we lower. Again, the same positioning as our knee push-up with the humeral glide, but we just keep moving through those push-ups, maintaining a tight body, elbow stacked over the wrist, and maintaining that good shoulder position. So all the key points of our push-up in our humeral glide, they come over and they're very relevant for our push-up position in our work set. Regardless of what variation you use, knee to toe, ottoman, countertop, whatever you're using, it's the same key points of performance. So fight for them, rest if they start to fall apart, and continue on. Our last exercise in that list again is that back lunge to high knee hop. And I'll have again a couple different variations for you guys, but I'm going to show you one right now with a step-up variation to have in your back pocket just in case. So if you have something comfortable to step up on and you're comfortable with it, it's safe and stable, this is another option for that back lunge to high knee jump. There's not going to be a jump involved, but we are going to work on a nice step to high knee and then back down. Step to high knee, back down. We're just working on that extra little range of motion through the knee, but you'll notice that when I do this, this foot stays flat and it stays stable. I'm not trying to lift, I'm not trying to jump, I'm staying stable and flat with that foot, keeping it really strong. So really fight for that. If you'd like to play with this, please embrace it, have fun. It's a cool little option, and it is going to give you a little extra hip engagement as we work that good strong lift in that high knee. Now, the work set, back lunge to high knee jump or variation. We have 50 alternating reps or half and half. Then you're going to go through your your little couplet of sit-up and push-up, 50 sit-ups, 25 push-ups, 40 sit-ups, 20 push-ups, 30 sit-ups, 15 push-ups, 20 sit-ups, 10 push-ups, and 10 sit-ups, 5 push-ups. Once you're done your 5th push-up, you're gonna come back down and you're gonna do your variation of what you did for your back lunge to high knee jump 50 more times. Then you're done. Call it a day, have some fun, stretch those legs out, maybe give your belly a nice little rub because your core is gonna get taxed again. But big thumbs up, you guys. This is the big work set. I hope you guys have fun. If you have any questions about it, please let me know. Shoot me a message. We are available for you at any time. Please let us know if you need anything when it comes to that workout. But as always, work for quality, have fun, and we'll see you tomorrow for another good little work set. Bye, you guys.